Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Zimbabwe is a failed state. That is the tragic reality we have got to deal with here, that we must deal with here. And the main reason for it is that we have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections for the last 44 years. That is something that we, as a Zimbabwean, you've got to hold your heads in shame. How is it possible that 44 years after independence, in this day and age, and we are still failing to hold free, fair, and credible elections? I've stated it here, and I'll state it again. We realized we needed to stop ZANU-PF rigging elections if we are ever going to have an accountable and competent government. The two things are inseparable. If you've got a regime that is able to rig elections, is not accountable to the people, you will very rarely get a competent government. That is a reality. And for our case, we knew that by the late 1990s, we realized that ZANU-PF is corrupt, incompetent, and tyrannical. And as long as they're able to rig elections, we are stuck with the regime. MDC were elected on the understanding that they will implement the necessary democratic changes to stop ZANU-PF rigging elections. Now, 24 years and counting down the line, we are still having the same problem. ZANU-PF is still rigging elections. One is going to ask, why? Here is a video clip which we would like to use tonight as the basis for our discussion, where Chamisa is comparing the recent elections in South Africa to the Zimbabwe elections and giving us his take on that. Let's just listen to it.
Nyaya yesarudzo dzokuSouth Africa yatidzidzisa kuti mukurongwa kwese chakakosha muzvina referee kana kuti muzvina pembe anofanira kunge asina kwaakarerekera. Takaona zvakaitwa neIEC yokuSouth Africa yakanga ichirakidza munhu wese zvese zvichionekwa chinhano nechinhano. Zvino kana muri muZimbabwe sarudzo dzinotaurwa pakati peusiku, mabhaloti anounzwa pakati peusiku, zvinhu zvinoitwa pakati peusiku. Handizi kuti dzinza reuroyi here rabata musha kana kubata hama kunyanya vari muZEC. Toda kugadzira izvozvo. Ndosaka ndati ZEC inofanira kutoti iputswe titange patsva. Varipo ava vaita masarudzo mbiri. 2018 sarudzo hadzina kufamba zvakanaka. 2023 sarudzo hadzina kufamba zvakanaka. Hatingaiti muzvina pembe wakadaro anoti kana atsamwa unokanda pembe kure oenda kunojoina imwe timu. Toda kupagadzira ipapo. ZEC is not fit for purpose. And ZEC must be disbanded. We must have a proper independent electoral commission and have the diaspora vote. You saw the diaspora vote in South Africa. How South Africans in the diaspora voted. We must have the same here. Diaspora vote is a must. And we are not going to talk of any other election until we resolve the issue of an independent electoral body for the elections in Zimbabwe, not the current ZEC, and not in 2028, because 2023 has not been resolved. We are not going to wait for 2028. The election that must be fixed is the 2023 election that did not produce a credible, legitimate, and authentic leadership for this.
There you have it, Ben. What do you think?
Good day to you and good day to everybody. You know, for me, I'm quite, infuriated. This is what we have been saying all along. And we have become enemies of many. We are simply saying it is impossible to participate in rigged elections. It will never produce anything that is meaningful. You can see the difference between, I'm sure we cannot just compare with South Africa, we can compare with a lot of countries that have held elections. Now to say that, there is a difference, is Chamisa trying to tell me that he is seeing the difference now? I mean, this is just insane. At the end of the day, it just leaves you infuriated, disappointment. This is all we have been saying. All along, this is what we have been saying. Participating in rigged elections is meaningless. The referee is biased. You will never win. This is what we are saying. And now for somebody to come and say this, I think, this is just, I think he took, it's the wrong timing, or it's just madness. Come on, really. I would have thought, somebody that is learned would have noticed this by now. We've been saying this. And now here he is saying this. And you shouldn't say the 2018 elections were rigged. The 2023 the elections have been rigged from long back. We have never had free, fair, and credible elections in Zimbabwe. Period. And yet we are still continuing, doing the same thing. I'm lost for words right now. I'm really upset.
Well, let's be refocus on that issue. MDC had the golden opportunity to implement the reforms to make sure that ZEC, the police, the army, the judiciary are independent, etc., are all independent during the GNU of 2008 to 2013. The ZEC Chamisa is criticizing here, most of those people in ZEC, in fact, all of them for 2013 elections, were appointed with the approval of Chamisa and his fellow MDC guys, because they were in the GNU. To now turn around and pretend that ZEC is not fit for purpose, when you are the one who had the opportunity to reform it, 5 years, you failed to implement even one reform, and then you appointed the individuals that are in ZEC, most of them, all of them, in fact, for 2013 elections and 2018 elections. And then you complain that they're not fit for purpose. This is absolutely ridiculous. I think this is one of the problems that we are keeping on having here. We have got an opposition that is not fit for purpose. They have been in the on the political stage for the last 24 years, including the 5 during the GNU. They failed to implement even one token reform. Not even one. And they've been participating in flawed elections, knowing fully well that the elections are flawed, knowing fully well that by participating, they are giving ZANU-PF legitimacy. And when the results are out, they start complaining that this ZEC is not fit for purpose. I totally agree with you. This is an outrage. And I think the main problem we have in Zimbabwe is that the people themselves are very slow in picking that up?
I don't think now it's a matter of us being slow. I think it's a matter of us just, using blind loyalty. You know, you cannot just listen to somebody naive and just go with what they say without you having to validate. I mean, here there's a lot of contradiction that he has just said within just the past 2 weeks. Just recently, a few days back, he was saying he wrote to Sadak, and Sadak has not yet responded. And here he is clamoring that we are going to deal. How are we going to deal with the 2023 elections? Nothing has been said. We all waited for this speech to say maybe, we can have a few pointers in that speech to find out what is the way forward. And we were left, with absolutely nothing. What a, just like always. Now, I fail to understand, why we subject ourselves to such, to such tribulation. It's just heartbreaking. We have been saying this. We've become so unpopular because of the right thing to do. ZEC is compromised. There is absolutely nothing that can come out of a rigged election. It's like throwing a loaded dice. If it's loaded on the 6, it will always hit the 6. No matter how high or how far you throw it, it will land there. ZANU-PF has calibrated it that way. So even if you vote in your millions, ZANU-PF just needs thousands, and they will turn those figures all around. This is I don't know how simpler we can make it. I think now, since Chamisa has said it himself that ZEC is compromised, and nothing good can come out, maybe at least people can listen to that part. I would be happy if they can listen to that part and forget the other junk that he's talking about, because that is junk. You don't have a plan so far. We don't have a plan. Now, come on. We got to stop this nonsense at some point. We really have to stop this. Okay, fine. Let's look at the difference between how, the South Africa held its elections and how shambolic ours is. I mean, just the comparison, the organization, was miles apart. Ours, in the middle of the night, is right. The ballots were not there. They were not printed. Some were already there. It was just haphazard, everybody just doing whatever they wanted. That is not an election. That is not how the process is. So this is my question. Why do we do it at the end of the day? Why does he do it? Why does he lead people to do it when he knows it's shambolic? That is my question to him, that he must answer.
I totally agree. So the point here is, I think there are 4 points here to be noted. The number one is he is condemning ZEC for being not fit for purpose, and yet he had the opportunity to reform it to make sure that it is fit for purpose. And the GNU was the golden period, golden opportunity to do so. He and his friends failed to implement it. And then, as he himself noted, 2018 elections were rigged. He doesn't want to acknowledge that 2013 they were rigged, but doesn't matter. Let's forget that. Let's just concentrate on 2018. So he acknowledges that 2018 elections were rigged. ZEC was not fit for purpose. And yet he is the one who was hell-bent on participating in 2023 elections, even falsely claiming that he has plugged all the vote rigging loopholes to entice people to participate. And now, soon after the election result, 2023 election results are out, he is saying, oh, ZEC is not fit for purpose. And the third point, which I think is you mentioned in passing there, Ben, is this issue of what are you going to do about it now? We can't keep on saying ZEC is not fit for purpose and we should fix it. Not wait for 2028. We must fix it now. What are you going to do? I think that question is what people in Zimbabwe should start asking with a sense of urgency and purpose. And I think the last question, which people must not forget, is now you have accepted that ZEC is not fit for purpose. You have not said what you're going to do to fix it. But let's assume we fail to fix it. Does that mean you're not going to participate in 2028? Because we can't keep on repeating the same mistake. We can't keep on participating in flawed elections, knowing they are flawed, admitting that they are flawed, and yet we go ahead and participate. In fact, nearer the elections, we change. Right now, he's saying ZEC is not fit for purpose. But no doubt, nearer the elections, you'll be saying he has devised strategies of winning rigged elections. In other words, it doesn't matter that ZEC is compromised. We are still going to win it because of strategies of neutralizing all that. And then when the election results come out, ZANU-PF has blatantly rigged those elections. He claims that the election was fraud. No mention whatsoever is made of the fact that he had claimed that he had strategies of winning rigged elections. This madness has got to stop. In my view, it is high time the people of Zimbabwe have a clear understanding that Zimbabwe will never hold free, fair, and credible elections until we implement the reforms. And those reforms include making sure that ZEC is independent. It's not rocket science. And why we keep on participating, or we believe Chamisa when he comes and lies about, oh, I've got ways of neutralizing the rigging. Beggars belief. 44 years after independence, and we still cannot hold free, fair, and credible elections. No wonder we are a failed state. And as long as we have rigged elections, it's all wishful thinking that the situation will change. Nothing will change. We will continue to be a failed state. We are doomed. That is my message to everybody tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it gets to a situation where it becomes upsetting and then it becomes very, very sad. You know, here we are, we have been through all this situation where we are being told, let us go in our numbers, and you know, they knew before. And I believe most Zimbabweans knew. Removing all the emotion aside, reality sets in. We knew that ZANU-PF was going to rig these elections, but we still went. And until we change that mindset, or we change that idea, or that attitude, we will not get rid of this here problem that we have. We will just be go. I'm telling you one thing for sure. Mnangagwa is going to go, and just like what happened to Mugabe, another character is going to come, and another character is going to come, and we will never win as long as the situation remains like this. And if Chamisa was really, really interested, this is the time to start, focusing on reforms, to start demanding reforms. SADC laid a platform for us. Forget about SADC coming to run elections for you. That is gone. We were told June, May, June. We are going to July. Forget about June, it's done. People are peddling a lot of lies, but the honest truth that and reality that is at our doorstep, and the problem that is at hand is rigged elections. And until we find a solution to the rigged elections, which is the implementation of reforms, we are definitely just going to be going around in circles. And people like Chamisa, there's going to be others that will lead, and we will blindly follow. It's for their own gain and nothing for us at the end of the day. There is absolutely nothing for us in this whole deal. So unless we really put our act together, I think we were blamed for a very long time. I want to emphasize that a lot of hate speeches come for our stance for reforms. But here is the man telling you that ZEC is compromised. So what do you think will come out of a bad apple? This is some of the questions that you should ask yourself as an individual. We have asked questions to Chamisa, but you also have to answer your own questions, set of questions. You participated willingly too, right? You're part and parcel of the equation to whoever went and participated. But did you not know that ZANU-PF has always been rigging? Did you not know that ZEC was compromised? Then you still went. What was the purpose? Right? Let us be realistic. Let us change our ways. I'm asking politely, let us change our ways and move forward from this madness. And let's go into reality and focus at the matter on hand. That is the only way we can save ourselves. Forget about anybody saving you. Us, we will save ourselves.
Well, my closing remark would be that Chamisa and company have been on the political stage for 24 years, including the 5 during the GNU. They failed to implement even one token reform. That is the reality. And the conclusion of that is very simple. It's because they are corrupt and breathtakingly incompetent. That too is the reality. To keep hoping that they can somehow change and be the instrument of meaningful democratic change in Zimbabwe is being naive. And that naivety is one of the reasons why we are in the mess we are in. Any competent nation would have come to the conclusion that Chamisa and company are not fit for purpose, and would have started the difficult task of finding the men and women who will implement the reforms and get the country out of this mess. 24 years is a long time to give somebody where if they had wanted to implement the reforms, particularly during the GNU, they had the golden opportunity to do so. To believe that Chamisa is going to somehow implement changes now to make ZEC fit for purpose when his CCC party has all but imploded. He himself has abandoned his party. Is so far-fetched. It's just unbelievable. You know, you really need your head to be examined if you are going to believe that. No one is going to take Zimbabweans seriously until we start taking ourselves seriously. And those who keep on hanging on to Chamisa's cocktails as the man who is going to get the country out of this mess clearly show that they really have no clue what it will take to end this ZANU-PF dictatorship. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The last, particularly post-GNU, Chamisa and company have been playing as ZANU-PF Team B in all but name. They played to make sure that ZANU-PF wins and get legitimacy. And in return, ZANU-PF has allowed them to win a few gravity seats. That is the current relationship between ZANU-PF and the opposition. And to expect that to change is naive. That means you really have not understood anything at all that has been going on. Nations get the government they deserve. Whether we like to accept it or not, we have the government we deserve in Zimbabwe. The corrupt, incompetent, and tyrannical ZANU-PF, complete with the entourage of the MDC, CCC factions. They keep on dividing and subdividing like amoeba. Sweep them all together. That is the entourage that we're talking about here. And that entourage, whether you like to accept it or not, is going to participate in 2028 without even one token reform implemented. With the same ZEC, not fit for purpose, presiding over those elections. And by coercing or rather conning the ordinary Zimbabweans to participate, you'll make it very difficult for organizations like SADC, as much as they would want to support and make sure that elections in Zimbabwe are free, fair, and credible. If you participate in your millions in a flawed elections, it is not for SADC to say that process is flawed and deny ZANU-PF legitimacy. We know that because it happened last year. It's going to repeat itself again. This incredible, unbelievable political reality of 44 years of rigged elections it's a crying shame. And here we are idling towards making it 48 years of rigged elections. Unbelievable. Thank you very much, Ben. I don't know whether you want to give your closing remarks there.
Well, I think we have said much. I think it's now in each and every one of us, our minds and how we want to proceed going forward. I think we have heard enough. Surely, even Chamisa is on record now to say that this is how the situation is. And if we decide to bury our heads in the sand and forget about it and participate and continue participating, just like you said, we will get the government that we deserve, because we know what we are getting ourselves into, and we know what we stand to lose if we participate in rigged elections, and we still want to continue. Then we get that we shouldn't cry foul and say, SADC or whoever has done this to us. No, no, no. It is us who has done this to ourselves. We keep shooting ourselves in the foot just to spite the face. We have to stop this at some point. We know it's not. Chamisa doesn't need to tell us. Nobody needs to tell us. I don't need to tell you. You know. Let us do the right thing. Let us demand. It is our right. It is our right to have a meaningful say in our country. But if we decide that we do not want that right, we would rather do the hard thing, then I honestly believe we are going to be here for a very, very long time. Thank you all.
Sorry. For those who are able to join us, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and have a good day and good night.